welcome back. This month, the New York Opera Alliance launched their new NIOA Next initiative, inviting audiences to explore opera in all 5 boroughs. The initiative begins with a spotlight on the Bronx with a 3-day festival currently happening now through April 23rd, showcasing unrepresented opera singers to the 56-year-old Bronx Opera. And here now to share more is librettist and New York Opera Alliance President Marianna Mott Newirth.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome.
Lovely to be here.
Congratulations on this initiative.
Thank you, thank you. We really have been, we're really trying something new and breaking up the kind of the old traditions in a way.
I love that you started it in the Bronx.
Yes, yes, yes. We did that for a reason because NIOA, the New York Opera Alliance, we have 2 really, really powerful opera companies involved, Bronx Opera and Lighthouse Opera, based here in the Bronx. NIOA is all 5 boroughs. And we really wanted to focus on this area. And I frankly didn't know much about the Bronx, truth be told, until we started this initiative. And I'm falling in love with your borough. So
that's amazing. Thank you for bringing it up in that manner because, you know, it's lovely to know that we're of interest on that level of basically
Absolutely.
Introducing the world, right? Because we are very global, right? It's here.
Yes.
It's just, I want to say we've been conditioned to think that we need to step outside. So it's lovely to have it come to us. And on that note, I understand you had auditions at the Bronx Music Heritage Center. And before we even go into the process, let's just talk a little bit about the stigma behind opera so that our audience understands why it's so important even for them to explore outside of their norm.
It's a great question. And the whole reason why we broke up the way we had been doing things, opera is very traditional, or has let me rephrase it, has many years, many decades, centuries of tradition. And New York City opera has been done a certain way for a certain period of time. The pandemic had a lot to do with certainly breaking up the norm. And that was, in fact, when I joined NIOA. I was working with Del Arte Opera Ensemble at the time as their executive director. And the shutdown shut everything down, including our hearts and our souls. And NIOA we meet every month, and we really began to explore how we do things differently. And I quickly, after a couple of years, became president of NIOA, and we started to address how do we change things up. We went through a whole EDI initiative during 2021, and it wasn't just like a one-time thing. It was an entire year of programming, Zoom meetings, and a major number of NIOA companies participated in this EDI training. And from that, what we began to discover was that the systems we had set up no longer supported the work that we wanted to do going forward. So here we are, we had this opera festival once a year in the spring, and it's always happened in Manhattan, and we're like, but we want people, there's more than Manhattan in this wonderful city. And the NIOA members themselves said, we want to bring opera to all 5 boroughs. And I like to think of NIOA as like a forest. The Metropolitan Opera is the giant tree in the middle of the forest.
Right.
We are all the seedlings and the roots underneath in the network that really create an opera ecosystem. And this is why we're branching out.
I love it. I love it. So how many companies are part of NIOA?
It's 48 companies right now. And who knew there were 48 opera companies in New York City?
And aside from expanding, I know, because here's the thing, you're based on what you just shared with the tradition and then having all these companies come to this one consensus, right?
Yeah.
Aside from obviously expanding outside of the borough of Manhattan, what about the style of the opera?
Oh, the style of the opera. There's still a lot of, the canon is still the canon, and people love going to Carmen, they love La Bohème. Those are wonderful pieces. They are set in a particular time. And what's starting to happen, really in the last 10 years, new opera is entering I don't know if it's entering the canon yet, but there's a lot of initiative in creating new opera. So this is my work as a librettist and as a producer, is to write new opera and to get them produced. So a lot of the Niowa companies will do La Boheme, Traviata, will do all the Verdis and the Mozarts and all that. They are also beginning to do new operas, which is like what's happening,
Right.
and new stories being told and local stories being told, not just traditional, colonial, whatever the term, the stories.
The colonialism.
The colonialism,
Yes,
honestly.
yes, yes.
We're breaking that up.
Right. I love it. I love all of it. I love all of it. I love all of it. And I love that, and forgive me because I'm an urbanite is how I identify, right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
so the fact that you're here in the Bronx and now you're opening it up to the stories that I guess are related to our stories,
Absolutely.
which for me kind of invites a certain level of modernism, and then there's this inclusivity that we haven't discussed yet.
Right.
However, let's talk about what this weekend looks like.
Yes. So yesterday we held a series of auditions
Right.
for new singers who don't have representation yet, as well as established singers, local singers in the area at the Bronx Music Heritage Center, BMHC. And it was a chance for singers and opera companies to come together and meet and to help expand and connect that network. And it's also been a chance for more singers who either coming out of conservatory or people who have wanted to get into opera and don't yet have a way in. We are the gatekeepers, as in the opera companies, as opposed to some high level gatekeeper. It's us. So we began to really introduce singers to companies.
Right.
It's a very European
I wanted to
model.
ask you, right,
Yeah.
because really quickly, in the field of, like, let's say, acting, they have to be represented by agents. Does it work that way within?
There are a number of agencies that will represent singers,
Right.
and there are a lot of singers who are not represented for one reason or another.
Right.
But Niowa companies, there is no equity. There is no actors' equity or any kind of union. It's there may be a union, but if there is, I don't know about it.
Got it.
And there are many opera singers that could be in this industry who don't know how to get in. And this is one avenue that we're creating. And we are inviting, or had invited rather, agents to come so that hopefully one or two singers from this might get representation.
But then again, this is the first of many, right?
This is
because
the first
you launched
of many.
it here in the Bronx.
Absolutely.
And so I love that you're leveling out the playing.
Yes.
Yes, we love that.
Yes.
We need that.
That is by design.
Awesome. And so what on Saturday, I
Yes.
understand, is going to be a performance. So let's talk a little bit about how that worked, right? You had the auditions.
The auditions at BMHC.
Right.
Tomorrow will be the performance of the Niowa companies
Right.
at Bronx House Community Center in their auditorium. And it's going to be 8 Niowa companies performing arias and perhaps some scenes, but piano vocal. So very kind of basic,
Okay.
but no less exquisite. I can promise you that. They're incredible singers. And so it's going to be 8 pieces performed. We will also have 2 American Sign Language interpreters, ASL interpreters, on stage interpreting the entire program. And one of the pieces that will be produced by my opera company, Opera Practicos, will incorporate a deaf performer with our aria, so that there will be an actual mixture, a combination of ASL and mezzo-soprano voice performing an aria.
And so I'm just visualizing. I'm in awe just listening
Yes,
to this
yes.
because there's almost like a translation going on, vice versa.
It's incredible. Yes, it really is. And we actually had a rehearsal a couple of weeks ago. This is the piece that I wrote as based on the Lord of the Rings. It's one of the characters from Lord of the Rings. So it's an aria, which is just one of these moments in the piece. And it's Eowyn, who is basically the heroine of the moment, her story going into and avenging her uncle who's been killed. So having a mezzo-soprano and a deaf actress, Amelia I'm forgetting Amelia's last name, I'm so sorry, our deaf actress, working together, one character, two different sides of this character with the piano music. It's really been an amazing discovery because Amelia is bringing in such a level that, and then we have the vocal. So it's a whole new, this is a whole new venture for us, and we're really excited.
It sounds exciting. It really does. It sounds exciting. And let's just share with everyone a little background on your company before we discuss
Sure,
the
sure.
Sunday Jam.
Yes, yes, we'll get to that. I know we have so many things.
So, Opera Practicos.
Opera Practicos is New York City's first disability affirmative opera company. We incorporated almost a year ago, so we're a brand new company. And my partner in opera is Greg Mumji, who is a musicologist. He has cerebral palsy, and he is incredibly versed in opera. He knows more about opera than I ever will. And he is also a dramaturg. So the two of us began to form ideas of what opera could be. And we're really exploring what disability creativity is. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. And just because opera, even though obviously we're all mesmerized by the captivating sounds of it, it's really the emotion that is portrayed or conveyed behind it. And
yes.
so for you to expand that out to, let's say, a deaf performer, I can only imagine that it's only added like multiple layers to the experience of it.
Absolutely.
Right? And so before we go, we're going to now share how you're kind of stepping into new waters with this jam session that you're
an opera
about
jam
to explore.
salon. We don't know what an opera jam is, and we're going to find out. This is back at BMHC on Sunday at 2 o'clock, and we are gathering a house band to get things started. It's going to be led by Dr. Gregory Hopkins of Harlem Opera Theater. And we're getting maybe a drummer, maybe a violinist, maybe a cello. We don't know yet. It is coming together very quickly. But the point is for singers and musicians to come together. You can be opera, you can be not opera, and bring some music, bring an open mind, drop any need for it to be perfect, and we're gonna jam.
Oh my gosh, that's got to be interesting.
I told
no composition.
No. I mean, there may be some improv that happens. I mean, I would love to start with Duke Ellington and then move into Mozart and you know, who knows what people will be bringing. Duke Ellington was very operatic.
Oh my gosh,
fact.
who knows what you guys are creating?
It's going to be really, really interesting, and we will share the results when they come out.
Well, we thank you for bringing it here. This is
amazing.
super
Yeah.
exciting.
And the Bronx has been incredibly welcoming in helping us put this together. So,
well, we're really excited that
Bronx.
it's starting here.
Yeah.
Awesome. You heard it here first, you guys. That's once again Marianna Mott Newirth, librettist and a New York Opera Alliance president. And what we were discussing is the New York Opera Alliance Next. And in the Bronx, that is, it's taking place this Saturday, April 22nd, between 2 to 4 p.m. at the Lucius Wasserman Auditorium at the Bronx House, located at 990 Pelham Parkway South. And then on Sunday, when they're going to have the Opera Jam, that's taking place on the 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Bronx Music Heritage Center, located at 1303 Louis IX Boulevard, all happening in the Bronx, as I mentioned. And for more information, you can visit nyoperaalliance.org. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about the upcoming film exploring Taino culture titled Golden Flower. Don't go anywhere.